just to give and I'm sure Nan will talk far more about this when we talk about the implementation and what happens when you're knocking on the door. So this is stages of change. I don't know if anyone's familiar. It's a model of really, when you think of stages of change, it could be for addiction. It could be for almost anything. It's like you're getting in this position of pre-contemplation, which is, I don't have a problem. I mean, even though you're stealing from your neighbor's car, you're taking money from family members, you're being deceitful, but you're still convinced that your behavior is not problematic. Contemplation, you're getting a little on the fence, like maybe I can start to see some of the consequences of my behavior, whether it's an OVI or some kind of charge, or I'm in trouble with whoever, whether it's kids and parents or spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends. And then the preparation, action. Action is I'm getting in treatment, I'm there, I'm doing it. And maintenance is that firm commitment, and that's in recovery. And I have to say, this is, if I went back one slide, this is sort of my new, now that we've been doing this for 18 months and where we've certainly experienced some successes where people have gotten into treatment and they're doing maintenance, but I think that we need to be doing more as a community to become a community of recovery, so that there's still a lot of stigma around addiction, alcoholism. I was sitting in a drug coalition meeting for another community, and they had challenged their parents of this school to, just be a good role model and don't drink for 30 days. And the parents were shocked at the amount of peer pressure they felt when they would go to events, because we have a lot of things that kind of circle around that. The church I belong to, whenever I show up for the festival subcommittee, they greet you at the door with a Bud Light. Have a Bud Light, sit down. I'm Catholic. You probably guessed it just from that. So in terms of the maintenance piece, like really being able to create that community of recovery where it's acceptable, it's okay to say no, it's okay that you're not, whatever, that you're not going to be indulging in alcohol or drugs. So we're typically, when we're knocking on that door and you've just had an overdose, we're in those first two, you're either pre-contemplation where you don't think you have any problem at all. We have heard the craziest stuff. It was really bad peanut butter. That's what someone told us after their overdose and they were brought back to life with Narcan, is they had had some really bad peanut butter. I had another woman give me some really long, convoluted story about a brain tumor. So I was like, well, okay. So we've heard those stories. So we have to be prepared in terms of how because we really are. It's to be helpful. It's what are we doing? How can we help you? I don't think police and fire get to hear enough. They're coming with us on those initial knocks on the door, and then we're doing assessments and ongoing case management and face-to-face work and phone calling. We'll even go visit you in jail just to kind of stay connected with you and see what we can do to help you get where you need to go. And I don't think police and fire get to hear enough how often it blows their mind that people care about them. I mean, this just happened last Wednesday, just 2 days ago. We go knock on a door. Now, I couldn't find the person who had just overdosed, but a relative answered the door, and she got on the phone with the mother of the person who was the overdose person we were looking for, and the two of them were on the phone talking while we're standing in the door, and she kept saying, "Can you believe it? Can you believe it? No, I'm not kidding. There's a fireman here and an officer and a therapist. They just want to help our family member." And they just kept saying that. And I think that's, for the most part, people, they do answer the door. And I think people that are in the depths of addiction, more often than not, want help. They are not satisfied with the quality of their life or their relationships or the deceit, and that no one will hate them more than they do. I mean, it's really it's a very insidious disease.
What are the obstacles for that person to break that thinking into, again, you care for them, but you go from an addict's perspective, what are the obstacles for them to kind of come out of that way of life?
I think being there so that we have people standing right there saying to them that we care, we want to make a difference, we want to help you. And so, and I know that Nan will talk about this more, because some of what we're learning as treatment providers, wanting help and getting help can be two very different, because we have lots of people that want help, and the challenges you face, and there can be many, to get into treatment. So, and we're there to stay, because that's one of the things, I mean, we've heard all kinds of people say to us, I mean, we're like the bad penny. Some people on the street call us, those Jehovah's Witnesses are going to show up and knock on your door and they won't go away. So, you know, I mean, so we've heard all kinds of stories about us. But I think the biggest piece is that engagement. I think it is staying engaged. Every story is unique in a way. What people need is unique. So, I mean, we're just trying to keep that in mind to help them get where they need to go. So that's why even if we have people that kind of maybe fall off our radar or we can't find them, it is amazing that they'll come back and find us. So I think the engagement in the relationship, that's why the face-to-face is so critical, developing those relationships. Did that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So again, moving them towards action. So that's being empathetic, listening, doing the assessment. I have to also say that probably of the assessments I've done, I would say 95%, maybe even more, you're dealing with trauma. So there's some level of significant trauma that's also occurred, that's co-occurring with addiction that I've found. So when I say trauma, it could be death of someone, it could be physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse. I mean, there's just, but something significant that's also occurring in their lives or in their past.